Now, demand for dollars has surged significantly as demonstrated by the $137 million bid by bankers and other financial institutions in the first Forex Forward auction this year. However, the Bank of Ghana has positioned itself well to meet the rising demand for the currency with adequate supply for which many importers are seeking to pay for goods after their stocks went down due to the Christmas festivity. There's more in this report.
The high demand for the dollar confirms the perception that forex demand at this time of the year would be high, particularly with the inclusion of economic recovery and the surge in domestic money supply in the latter part of last year. Analysts believe the forward market intervention has been critical to complement the spot market sale of dollars to keep the cedi stable. They therefore applauded the Bank of Ghana for anticipating rightly the high dollar demand and deliberate large allotment of dollars than the corresponding quarter last year. The first bid for the forward sale of dollars ranks among the highest since the central bank started the deliberate policy to sell dollars in 2019. It is believed that all segments of the forex market would receive as much supply as is required to prevent a faster pace of depreciation of the cedi. The local currency has since the beginning of this year lost about 0.16% in value to the dollar.
Now, ratings agency Moody's is forecasting some challenging times for banks in Ghana this year. This is based on fears that loans given out might not be paid back in time because of the impact of COVID-19 on operations of businesses. George Afe has details.
The forecast was captured in Moody's 2021 report on the banking sector in Africa and how it expects the COVID-19 to affect the operations of banks in the region. The ratings agency in the report noted that their fears has also been influenced by how the pandemic has affected the Ghanaian economy badly and its associated shocks on businesses. This, they fear, might affect the ability of some of these enterprises to quickly turn around the borrowed funds and pay back on time to these commercial banks, thereby warning that the quality of loans of most of these banks might be affected. The move could also have some chilling impact on the entire financial sector because of how this could affect the disbursement of fresh loans, cost of credit, and the growth of businesses and employment, especially at a time that we are talking about some second wave and another COVID-19 strain, which might be more deadly than the first one. The banks are said to have disbursed more than 20 billion Ghana cedis in loans since March this year. Moody's was, however, quick to add that based on the recent reforms to the banking sector by the Bank of Ghana, the expected impact might not be that severe if these reforms have not been put in place by the regulator over the past years.
So let's put all the latest developments to Dr. Williams Pepra, who is head of finance at the Valley View University. Thanks for joining us, sir. Beginning with inflation, we couldn't end the year with a single digit as we targeted. And as we saw in November, is it a signal of things to come or anticipated due to the Christmas festivity?
For calling me, and also good evening to your listeners. We are aware that normally in December we see prices going up, but this particular issue of price increase is triggered by the food basket, which is a little bit of a challenge because we were hoping that our local food produced locally will help us to reduce inflation. But if you look at what the statistician said, the inflation is triggered high by our food prices. We see that in the coming years is going to be an issue which government needs to work on, especially with its policy on trying to make sure that we produce or grow food within the country and then be able to eat them. We should try to reduce a lot of importation of food because most of the food prices going up, they were triggered by food products that were imported into the country.
So my next question was going to be how we work our way back to single digit then. And hearing, listening to you, I guess then we have to work on issues with food prices. Is that what we have to do to get back to single digit?
Yes, normally our food prices is linked to our importation. we are importing more food items. So normally we have discussed that our economy, the structural nature is not balanced. Once we are importing more, we are bringing someone's inflation into our country. So government must make sure that its policy on trying to make sure that we produce or we grow our own food and eat our local food within the country will help us to be able to bring the inflation down in the coming years.
Do you see that happening anytime soon?
We know the policy will not change, but the implementation is what we need to hit the ground running fast. We shouldn't allow the political issues to hold us back. We know it's still the New Patriotic Party in government, so they have to work very fast, not to hold us onto this issue of maybe political issues. But we have to make sure that we make sure the youth get into agriculture and we grow certain products that we can eat locally. The yam, the maize, the millet, those that we know that we eat a lot. We should be able to cultivate them and then to help the food price to come down.
We've also seen a surge in demand for dollars a few weeks into the year. In fact, the cedi, we are told, has lost some 0.16% in value to the dollar so far. And the Bank of Ghana appears to be doing a good job supplying the banks and businesses with dollars. How sustainable is this, and how soon before we see some stability with regards to the local currency?
I think in my last discussion with you, I mentioned that I gave a caution that the central bank should go and have discussions with these multinational companies who have made huge profits during the period of COVID-19. Currently, they are preparing to transfer dividends out of the country, and also individuals who are also importing are also now talking to their suppliers. They need dollars to pay some bills or that's things that they imported in the country somewhere in October, November, thereabout. So the central bank must work, and this is the norm. Normally in Ghana, we know that the first 3 months we see the dollar or the foreign exchange going high. So the central bank must come back and sit with these multinationals and have a plan how they will send their dividends out of the country. If you look at, I'm sure when they will look at the data, but they will see that it is coming, the forex is increasing because of pressures on multinationals.
All right. And my next question will be about ratings agency Moody's projection, also sounding a warning about how rising non-performing loans could pose a challenge for banks in Ghana. We had a similar warning from Fitch a few weeks back. How do banks get around this, seeing that businesses which are being hit by the COVID-19 pandemic would really need the banks to support them?
Moody is right by saying that there will be a challenge in the non-performing loans. And we know a lot of companies could not operate or do business to the maximum that they plan to do. But banks must, to be able to go around it, must tighten their relationship with the firms that they do business with. At this point in time, it's relationship banking, which will help banks to be able to survive and then reduce the NPL. Also, the central bank must come in by making sure that if they have to reduce some of the regulatory measures so that banks can operate. At the moment, I know that the NPL rate, they have given some new, instead of 90 days, asking banks to look at around 60 days on NPL loans. So the central bank must look at that. But banks themselves must use relationship banking to be able to go around the issue of non-performing loans.
All right. Thanks as always for your perspective. That was Dr. Williams Pepra, Head of Finance at the Valley View University. Grateful you could join us.